Three white men have been found guilty of murder and other charges for the pursuit and fatal shooting of 25-year-old black man Ahmaud Arbery in a case that, together with the killing of George Floyd, helped inspire the racial justice protests of the last year. The three defendants, Travis McMichael, 35, his father Gregory McMichael, 65, and their neighbour William Bryan, 52, face sentences of up to life in prison for the state crimes. Joining me live now is CNN reporter Darryl Forges. Darryl, can you talk us through the jury's verdict, first of all, because there were three separate verdicts, essentially?
Yeah, it was separate verdicts for these three defendants, Tom, and overall the jury had to look at a total of 27 counts, 9 for each defendant. Now, there was some concern before this started because of the fact that this is a majority white jury. Now, speaking with Ahmaud Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, she was very concerned about that. But as the court proceedings went along, she said that she felt confident because of the overall evidence, and she believed that justice would prevail. Now, for the jury, it took them just under 12 hours to continue their deliberations. As soon as we heard the rebuttal from the prosecution, after that, they immediately went into deliberations into the night, as around 6:30 last night, and then they continued starting at 8:30 this morning, and the verdict was reached sometime around 1:30 this afternoon. The jury moved very quickly, especially with the amount of counts, 27, and out of those 27 counts, those three men were found guilty of 23 of them.
You mentioned in part the reaction from the family. What about the broader reaction so far to this sentence, including the black community there in Georgia and around the rest of the country as well?
Yeah, well, Tom, over my shoulder is the Glenn County Courthouse, and right now it's quiet, but earlier today it was a whole different scene. We saw hundreds of people come out here, all in preparation for the verdict, and as soon as the verdicts were read out, guilty, guilty, guilty on many charges, especially on Travis McMichael, the man who pulled the trigger and killed Ahmaud Arbery. On all 9 of his charges, everyone here just started screaming, clapping, crying, and coming together because they believed that it was about time for justice for Ahmaud Arbery. And we saw a lot of reaction, not only here outside, but also in the courtroom. Marcus Arbery, the father of Ahmaud Arbery, as soon as the first verdict was read out as guilty, he screamed in jubilation and was immediately removed from the courtroom. Now, Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, she was sitting there quietly, and she just was emotional as the judge was reading the verdict. But not only have we seen and heard reactions from here in Glenn County, but all across the state and even all across this country. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris released statements on the overall verdict. They say that this is a true example of how the justice system works, but quite frankly, there is still a long way to go.
Yeah, so one sentence isn't going to ameliorate all the other, I suppose, pushes and concerns there in the US. What happens next? What are we expecting in terms of other reaction and anything further on this case as well?
Yeah, Tom, there was a powerful moment a few hours ago when all three men were escorted out of the courthouse in cuffs back to the detention facility. According to their attorneys, they do plan to appeal, but they also have more of an uphill battle with other legal challenges. They're also facing federal hate crime charges early next year in February, and they're also facing, of course, sentencing for the verdict that happened earlier today. They could potentially face life behind bars.